Since Prashant started off this day with a shloka by Adi Shankaracharya, it only feels right that I should add another quote at this point. In his Bhajagovindam, he has said, Ma kuru dhanajana yauvana garvam, harati nimesha kala sarvam. இதோடைய பொருள் தன ஜன யௌவன பணம், அதாவது பணம் எனும் பொருள், மக்கள், வயது, நிலை, நம்முடைய செயல்பாட்டு நிலை, உடலோ மனமோ, இது எதுலேயும் அகங்காரம் கொள்ளக்கூடாது. காரணம் என்னன்னா, ஒவ்வொரு நிமிடமும் இந்த நிலை மாறுது, அழியுது, இல்லை உருமாறுது. இதில் நாம் கர்வம் கொண்டோன்னா திரும்பி பார்க்கும் பொழுது எதுவுமே இல்லாததான் இருக்கும். இதை நான் ஏன் சொல்ல வரேன்? Why am I saying this? Because next we have a panel discussion that is going to take place here. A panel discussion that is going to touch each and every one's heart. Because the first time I heard this being said was at the launch of Able Aura last year. Each of us will be disabled someday. Do we realize that? Do we take account of that? We don't. அதுக்கு தான் மாக்குரு தனஜன யௌவன கர்வம். And to enable this panel discussion, I would like to call as moderator the one and only Balaji Kannan, with an intense background in software, ninja-like software skills, and vast and deep exposure to the healthcare world. Balaji Kannan is also an enabler of Able Aura and Zoho Aura Speaks, an Able Aura initiative. Both the Balas are partners in crime. I'm sorry, in Able Aura. Thank you so much for being here with us, Balaji.
Thank you, Mamti. Thank you.
I would next like to call on Dr. Suresh Hangawadi. He's a very renowned doctor from the wonderful state of Karnataka who's been facing barriers since birth but has broken through them and established the Hemophilia Care Services as the founder of the Karnataka Hemophilia Society. Banni doctore, neevu illi baradu namage tumba santoshavagide. ಅರೆ ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡಿ, ಈಗ ನನಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಚಾನ್ಸೇ ಸಿಕ್ಕಲ್ವೇ? ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಗಳು ನಿಮಗೇನು? Now I'm super excited because I am going to be inviting a sports person onto stage. Dr. Rajkumar spoke about sports initiatives, and we know that Able Aura has 5 academies currently across Chennai, which are sports academies, Able Aura academies of sports development, where persons with disabilities are trained in and participate in sporting activities almost every single day. And these 5 academies are going to grow to 8 before we blink an eye. And they're going to grow across the state, and they're going to grow across the country with numerous competitions and numerous championships. So all the best for that, Bala. And on that note, our next panelist has won innumerable accolades and is a state-level Boccia player. Do you know what Boccia is? Lift up your hands. How many of you know what? Okay. It is a precision ball game. Almost like, I cannot compare it with bowling now. Can I?
Almost.
Almost? It's a precision ball game, which is one of the 2 precision ball games for persons with severe disabilities in the Paralympics. It's such an honor to have you here, Sathish Kumar. I'm going to leave them and you all to this scintillating panel discussion on how we will all have disability one day. All yours.
Thank you, Mamti Chari. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Yeah. So, and On behalf of Able Aura, let me take a quick couple of minutes to welcome each one of you here for this event. I take this opportunity to thank everybody from the community, my friends from school who have come here, who have contributed a lot, and my fellow colleagues from Able Aura, and and our title sponsor, Zoho, and friends from Zoho. I take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you and welcome you warmly to this event. Okay, so the topic given to us, like, if Mr. Yogi, can I have the COVID slide on the thing? Yeah, so yeah, the topic given to us is like all of us have a disability and everyone will get disabled at some point of time, right? Like, so when this topic was given and then we had, this is something which has been very close to what I've been thinking over a period of time, okay? And between us and the panelists, when we had a discussion, each one of us, like Mr. Sathish and Dr. Suresh, were very thrilled to go further into this topic and then get more details about this topic, and thought we'd share and then have a panel discussion, okay? So the whole, I mean, I know, like, do you all agree, like, when COVID struck us, the whole world, in a sense, was non-abled, right? Like, so we need not call it disabled, but in a sense, the whole world was like kind of in a non-abled scenario. Children could not go to schools, young adults could not go to colleges, it was, working was difficult, people had to do everything virtually, we were all dependent on e-commerce apps and things like that, right? In a sense, like, I would like to start with that particular point, right? Like, even disabled people, as you see here in this slide, really suffered during COVID disability. This is a slide, in fact, even a couple of days back when I was in a session with Mrs. Poonam Natarajan, they were showing this slide which really shook me in terms of how disabled people suffered during COVID. A person could not even wash her hand because the wash basin was on a higher altitude, right? Or the height was larger. Okay, so let me start with that point, and then maybe I'll open up this discussion. I'll start with Dr. Suresh. So what do you think about this, sir? Like, during COVID times, do you think the whole world was non-able? If we don't want to use the term disabled, the whole world was non-able, right? We were all disabled in some form or the other, and we had to be ready for that, right?
Yes. Yes, during COVID, the whole world was disabled. So that's why the disability definition itself has to be reviewed. And if we generally define disability as an impairment, and if you go back to the history, disability was viewed as our elders used to tell that it is a curse, something, sin the person committed, now he is suffering. And now it has moved to the societal issue. It is the society. So what I feel, the recently, that is Article Convention on Disability with Persons with Disability defined, it results from interaction with people with long-term physical, mental, intellectual or sensory impairments which in interaction with various barriers. Here, please understand, yes, there is impairment of people in various ways. Health issues, or as in COVID situation. So many issues, the situation is created. For some people, it may be a permanent. For some people, it may be a transient phase or even temporary phase. But there is an impairment. But what is the problem? The problem is interaction with various barriers. Barriers with their full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. Of course, there is impairment, but the society's barriers also matters a lot here. Because the barriers, if the conducive atmosphere is created, if the barriers are removed, by the society, then the person with disability can achieve, can also work, can also do the things at par with others. So that's why I say, more than the person with the disability, I say society is disabled. One example, my own experience I can quote here. When I was studying my MBBS, I studied so well, and unfortunately, I had bleed in my knee joint. But the examination hall was in the 4th floor. Those days, no ramp, no lift. I lost one turn. This would have been prevented if there is a lift or a ramp at least. So that's why it is disability is not impairment itself, but rather attitudes and environmental barriers that result in disability.
Thank you, sir. Very well said. I mean, the point, as you said, right, disability is more to do with the attitudes and then how society creates a kind of a universal design and an accessible infrastructure. Most of disability can be overcome, like kind of, at least if the society has a proper accessible infrastructure and then universal design. And the message we are trying to convey out of COVID as a reason why we picked up as a first point is like, okay, that brought in what virtually and what technology can do as a whole to the society. When each one of us can be disabled in one form or the other, we all went into a virtual mode of working, virtual mode of education, virtual mode of various things, right? And then the e-commerce apps picked up, people started using apps, all these technology companies started doing well. So yeah, a whole lot of things actually were benefits out of COVID, and that is the point we wanted to basically kind of bring out and say that like COVID made the whole world, in a sense, a kind of, I don't want to use the word disabled, it made us in a kind of non-abled scenario. So why not be ready as a society, as a community, as a general, why not as a humanity, we all get together and create a bridge for the future so that each one of us can be in a more inclusive world. So my request for the next slide on our app, please, Able or app.
One more opportunity COVID gave us to realize how bad our health infrastructure. And that is the time, more than the higher category, the lower category staffs, NGOs, they worked so hard to face the challenges of COVID. So now we know what are the alternatives and how to build our health infrastructure.
Excellent point, sir. As a doctor, the health infrastructure actually was overwhelmed during COVID, but actually we kind of improvised on the health infrastructure, and that remains for any future pandemic. If people became non-abled in some sense, we are ready for that. But we should not stop there, and the point is we should move more ahead and do more as a society to bridge ourselves for the future in case of a non-abled scenario. So I now put it to Mr. Sathish. What is your view on this particular point of during COVID, we were all non-abled. How did you manage during the time, and what is your thought? What are your thoughts?
So adding to Sir's point, that I should say that during the COVID period, many people with disabilities had the struggle of reducing their health problems. Mainly, they could not have their continuous physiotherapy. So those kind of things made their condition even worse. Because people with muscular dystrophy, they need to have a regular physiotherapy to maintain their health conditions. And for many other kind of disabilities also, they were not able to go outside. The physiotherapists were not able to come to their homes. And many kind of problems happened. Personally, for me also, for the 1 year in between gap made me the backbone spine to become more worse. Because we were continuously sitting. Those kind of issues could not be solved at that particular time. But to take it in the positive note, for many people with disabilities, what happened is this COVID opened their doors wherein they were creating more job opportunities for them. Initially, people with disabilities could not travel to many places due to the physical barriers and all. But this COVID made them to give more online opportunities, work from home, and it was a major shift for them in creating job opportunities. So we could have both plus or minus in this COVID situation, I feel.
Very well said, Mr. Sathish. So we are also happy as part of Able Aura, having learned some lessons from the past, encouraged by my dear friend and founder, Mr. Bala Shiva. I was lucky enough to actually arrive at a curated set of hundreds of services which could kind of get into our app. This is our app. Our app is already released in Play Store and App Store. We could create a curated set of hundreds of services and an e-commerce marketplace for products which the persons with disabilities could use in case, God forbid, in case of any future scenario, like Mr. Sathish said, if somebody wants a physiotherapist, if somebody wants a speech therapist at home, they can actually book a service online. So in a sense, between me and my team, we were lucky enough to put across this app, and we hope this will be of service to community down the line. So quickly going down to my next point, Doctor, let me come to actually how the society views disabled, right? One point which comes to my moment we say disabled or non-abled, the society thinks as an identity, somebody on a wheelchair, somebody who's visually impaired, somebody who's hearing impaired, or somebody with a cognitive disability like autism or something. Somewhere I honestly feel we need to break that notion of it is not only those people and those identities who are disabled, but it is each one of us are disabled in some way or the other, whether now or down the line, there is a chance that, okay, although I don't want to, some people may think, oh, why are we thinking in that sense? But each one of us at some point in time, either due to age, we may get disabled. There are permanent, these are what I said initially, the wheelchair, the hearing loss, visual, these are all stereotypes, right? They are all permanent disabilities. But there are other temporary disabilities, like somebody fracturing an arm, somebody fracturing a leg, a pregnant lady who's not able to do something for a period of time, or somebody who had got a stroke after 40, 50 years of age. So those are the kind of scenarios we enter into a world of temporary disabilities, and so we need to do something to bridge for those scenarios also, either through technology or through people or through process. We need to do it. Then there are a lot of invisible disabilities, like as you rightly said, hemophilia, then autism, dyslexia, and all kind of invisible disabilities. And then we also have other health related, could be stroke, could be cancer, could be disabling, any other disabling paraplegic conditions. Or it could be purely age related, hearing loss, vision loss, whatever, like macular degeneration, whatever, right? So these are broadly various categories of disabilities. So I just want to see if we could spend some time to hear from you. How do we break this notion of, as a society, that disability means only those 4-5 stereotypes? Your thoughts?
Yes, as you rightly pointed out, there are different forms of impairments, disabilities we call. So there are permanent disabilities like polio. There are temporary disabilities, as you mentioned, and there are situational disabilities. There are age-related disabilities, and especially all these, whatever the type of disability, we have to focus more on, of course, everybody, but the burning problem is rural people. People with disability living in rural, they are not accessible, they are not educated, so many problems are there. So that's why to give there are various disability. It is not just a locomotor disability or visual disability. Okay. So, but there are different forms of disability. Even to give to share my experience of advocacy of inclusion of these genetic blood disorders under the Disability Act, it took nearly a decade. Because we were not able to convince. Arey, what has happened to you? You look so healthy. So here you see he has come in a wheelchair. I have come in with a crutch. But you please understand, hemophilia, the disability is in blood. The impairment is in blood. It is a hidden disability. It is not obvious. But this has to be identified and supported under the various schemes of either government or corporates. So I feel disability should not be viewed as a charity or a sympathy. Please create an atmosphere where we equally become competent to achieve. I have disability in blood, but that is because of the deficiency of the clotting protein, but not zeal in the life, but not skill in me. I have become a doctor. So that is the spirit all the disabilities under this category should feel. So I think a disability perspective view has to be changed in the general public, and now the union government gazette notification from 7 disabilities they have increased to 21 disabilities. So that is the good thing we happened. But there are also challenges because these are all newly included. We are finding it very difficulty getting them registered. Forget general public. Our own medical professionals are not aware about. They send back the patient, you are not eligible. So that's why these are the challenges, and the disability should be viewed as a, rather than societal issue, rather than impairment, it should be viewed as a human rights issue. Our human rights are getting violated. Fundamentally, we are accessible to healthcare facilities. But what has happened to thalassemia patients, hemophilia patients, sickle cell patients, and the intellectual disabilities? So intellectual disability, one of the doctor is giving it as a cerebral palsy. So that's why we need to address all these situation if we become, get together and fight against all these odds.
Excellent points, Doctor. Yeah, I'll just, especially on the rural point, which you said, it's not just the cities. We also, as a society, need to really see how these issues impact somebody with a disability from the rural pocket. And as a society, as we said, we should really see not disability just with those identities, as I stated, somebody in a wheelchair or somebody hearing loss, but call can impact us in one way or the other in different forms: permanent, temporary, mild, moderate, severe, aging related, whatever, and we need to be ready to kind of bridge that and take it into the future. So I'll just take, on this particular subject, I'll take the views of Mr. Sathish quickly. Yeah, so
adding on to some of the points to Sir's points, that disability not only from different kinds of disability, we also have permanent or temporary or situational. So most of the disabilities which come from the birth, they are almost permanent. But apart from that, there are also some kinds of disability which happens due to some kind of accidents, wherein spinal cord injury or quadriplegia and some kind happens. But with the spinal cord injury or quadriplegia or maybe some other disabilities, it also converts to a permanent disability. Lifelong, it will be there throughout their life. It cannot be cured maximum. And also situational disability mostly appears due to the accessibility or due to the barriers in the society. If we take the example of a central railway station few months back, it came as a situational barriers because the announcements were being completely stopped, making it a noise-free railway station, wherein many people, even without disability, they were confused to know which train comes to which platform. So if people with disability had these problems, people with hearing impairment and visually impaired, they were completely out of control. They could not help themselves. But realizing the fact, again, due to the people pressure, they brought back the announcements. So this kind of situational barriers also happens many places. If we take the example of the stage, initially this stage does not have a ramp, but having this ramp will not only support people with disabilities, it will be helpful for everyone to walk very easily. Kamachi Party madam doesn't need to get over the steps. She can easily walk over this ramp. So it can be, the situational barriers can be converted to positive or negative. It all depends on the society.
Fantastic, yeah, fantastic, Mr. Satish. Very well said, very well said. Those couple of examples, solid examples. One on the railway station when the audio announcements went off, and people who were advocating those needs like you and others, like did an excellent job. And similarly, the example of Kamakshi Party, it helps them. Like as we age, right? In my house, I've already since we've got. I mean, like we are all people. Okay, we have got some disability or the other within our family. Like my house, when I went in 20 years back, I made sure the bathrooms, everything have grab bars and things like that. It helps any normal person who comes into my house, as well as anybody else who, as well as us. I mean, in fact, I would have saved myself at least hundreds of falls because I have those grab bars. Okay, so otherwise I would have been fractured at least 100 times. Okay, so very well said on those 2 points. And similarly, I mean, again, another point which comes, I think there are good people like Mrs. Smita Sadashivam here, who's been fighting for low-floor buses in Chennai and all that. Low-floor buses need not only help the people with disabilities, right? It'll help anybody to have a low-floor bus in Chennai. And unfortunately, like it went to court, and then like government gave a lot of reasons in terms of infrastructure. Okay, that's besides the point. I'm just trying to convey that all these technology, process, people-related, all these infrastructure doesn't just help only persons with disability. It is for, in general, our non-enabling conditions, it helps us. Okay, that's how it has to be viewed. I'll quickly move on to the next point. Okay, this is something which I always think, right? Like again, coming back to the core topic of, you have a scenario like we have heard of Stephen Hawking, right? He was severely disabled, as people call, but he was a scientist, right? And then you talk of Helen Keller. She was severely disabled and she became a great author, right? And similarly in India, you have so many other people. We have ourselves got so many other speakers who are achievers, right? From IAS officers to people working in corporates, banks like Sathish, doctor. So we have so many achievers. The point I'm trying to make is, but on the other flip side, if you see, not that like every non-disabled person, strictly as you call in a normal abled person, they may not become always a scientist or an author in a strict sense, right? Both ways it works, right? It's not that every disabled person reaches that height because he doesn't have opportunities. On the other side, people who are really abled may not become a scientist also, right? So the point I'm trying to bring out is the degree of disability matters, and mind matters above all in the context of when we think of disabilities and how we view disabilities in a society. When a Stephen Hawking can become a scientist, why could not any other person? What is the difference between a Stephen Hawking or a Helen Keller and any of us for that matter? I mean, the only thing which came to my mind was mind matters ultimately. The attitude, as Dr. Suresh and Mr. Sathish said, matters. Quickly, some more views on that.
As you rightly said, so now I would like to highlight what are the barriers for disabilities. Number 1, that is attitude. Mindset has to be changed. Next, number 2, accessibility. We have to make the society accessible for people with disabilities. And educational, skilling, yes, teach them. Employment. I am really happy that the Dandapani has supported people with disability in the corporate Joho. And legal capacity. Okay, these are the attitude, but in addition to this, especially in the rural area, the caste, religion also add the complication to the issues. And that's why what are the solutions? Number 1, freedom to make choice and decision, and non-discrimination, full and effective participation and inclusion, accept human diversity, equal opportunity, accessibility, gender equality, respect for, yes, this is very important, children rights. So these has to be. So here I would like to emphasize on, we mentioned different forms of disability. I would like to emphasize there are some disabilities which are preventable. If you take measures, if you treat, I will give an example, the deficiency, that is neonatal hypothyroidism. If you do one simple neonatal screening test and detect and replace this thyroid hormone, so nothing will happen. But what we are seeing, after 2-3 years, the child will be brought by the parents with impairment of the brain. So this could have been prevented. In the same way, our hemophilia, the disability is 100% preventable. In western side, they don't allow the children to bleed by providing periodical infusions of the missing clotting protein we call prophylaxis. Prophylaxis is gold standard treatment in developed nation. But in our country, we allow the children to become disability with untreated bleed, and we make them not accessible to the education because of the repeated bleed. So that's why the early intervention by either neonatal screening and also prophylaxis in case of hemophilia should be made available to all these patients suffering with.
Good point, sir. Yeah, just in the interest of time, probably I'll rush through some of the other points. So I request the other panelists also to see if we could just speed up, given because we have more speakers lined up. Okay. So just a quick word on the mind matters. Yeah. So
To add on the points of mind matters, I would like to say that the disability, we can take it in two forms. One, the accessible barriers. The second one, the control and permission over the authorities. These two mainly matters the mindset of people of the society. Because if these two have been removed, easily the social barriers can be easily removed. And also I feel like that the people who are achievers, they see it from, the society sees them as a normal people. I should not use the word normal, but just I'm saying that the people who have not achieved anything, again I'm using the wrong word, might be wrong, but still saying that the society sees them, these kind of people with disabilities are not useful or not useless to anything. But people who have fame and achievers, they don't see them in the same way. They see like that, okay, they beyond their disability, they have achieved many things, and they see them as a superstitious. The words whatever I use may be wrong, but it only depends upon the fame and achievement they do. So you need to look into their what all capability they have. Based on that only you have to judge them, just not on their appearances.
well said, Sathish. Well said, Sathish. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. So quickly that slide on Eblora sports and travel, please. Sports first. Yeah. 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 So at Eblora, like in our own small way, we have begun to address what I fondly call lines of services rather than lines of business. So it's kind of, we have really started to see how to engage a particular person who is either kind of because of birth or acquired disability. How do we involve them in sports? How do we involve them in travel? We are also talking to educational institutions to see how do we enable them right at the school level itself to make them more inclusive. Also, the employability also we are exploring. And as a company, as our friend, like Bala Shiva said, we are already committed and we have about 20-25% of persons with disabilities already employed with us, and that would continue. Okay, so as you see here, we've already got about 5 sports centers in Chennai, and in which about 150 participants are already getting benefited in terms of their health and other needs. And the other thing is like travel is the other thing. We have taken people, we believe people should feel good, their mindset should be good. Mind matters, we spoke a lot. They should always feel good, they should feel entertained. They should also be in a position to travel wherever they want. India, you know, we have a lot of infrastructure unlike US or Western European countries. Right, like so we have ensured, we have done a lot of trips together with our title sponsor Zoho, thanks to them and others, and our Eblora volunteers and other sponsors. Like we have had very good number of visits, taking people to Kiradi, taking people to Misapuli Mala, which is the second highest peak in South India and all that. So that is all something we have kind of been able to progress in the last couple of years. Okay, so quickly moving on to my last point. Sir, like so in summary, like I would kind of see it as 4 or 5 things stand out, sir. Like one is universal design, right? Like so we need infrastructure. We started with the COVID point and we were all universally non-able. So we need to focus, at least in an Indian context, we need to focus more on the universal infrastructure. Our roads have to be better. Our ramps have to be created for all buildings, temples, hotels, whatnot. A whole lot of activities are there. Similarly, when it comes to digital infrastructure, a whole lot of accessibility issues are there. Still 95-99% of our websites are not accessible or apps are not accessible. Thankfully, at Eblora, we have been very very conscious in creating accessible apps. That took a lot of our time also, but we made sure that we went through that process and path. Okay, so, and then we also have to focus on assistive technologies, as rightly the Zoho team showed how technology can help us. It could be any technology, the hearing aid, advanced or a motorized wheelchair or anything. It could be new, any patches applied on the skin, anything in terms of, so these are the areas, broad areas we need to focus on. A quick summary words.
Yeah, because there is no much time. I will just quickly tell the, especially the infrastructural accessibility has to be established and improved, especially environmental accessibility and navigation inside the medical facility. That is another important point. And accessibility of documents and payment, and accessibility with regards to medicines and medical equipment, and accessibility in times of emergency that we have learned during COVID emergency, and accessibility of information and communication. That is also equally important. We need to focus on it and improve. And personal training and engagement for accessibility. Okay, so these are definitely has to be focused, maybe from the government, maybe from the corporate, and also there should be a constant, consistent advocacy with the union government by the right-based organization like us, and to achieve all these things. I think mainly the infrastructure facilities has to be improved in our country.
Thank you, sir. We all agree on that point as a summary thing. Like, so I'll just have a quick word from Mr. Sathish on those final 4 summary points of our universal infrastructure design, digital infrastructure accessibility, promotion of assistive technologies and products, and removing barriers. Sathish, your quick few thoughts on that, summary thoughts on that. Yeah, sir.
In a short, I just want to say that I feel that accessibility is the backbone of a person with disability. Because if accessibility is not there, a person with disability cannot achieve his dreams anywhere. Wherever I go, I need someone's support to transfer me from car to auto or whatever modes of transport. But if there is accessible transport, I don't need to depend on anyone at all, and I can directly sit on my wheelchair and travel. So it is not only on private cabs or autos. Public transport should be 100% accessible. Wherever we go, we does not even take 1% support from anyone. If that kind of accessibility and infrastructure we have, a person with disability can do anything, anywhere. And also all kinds of buildings, everything. And nowadays, if you see, I feel that WhatsApp is being the only mode of communication many people use. It has been very much helpful for people with hearing impaired. Any other than app, they only use that because it is easy for them to do a video call and do. So like these kind of, all kinds of accessibility from A to Z, I don't need to mention the list here. If with the permission of Abel or I request each and everyone seeing here, any organization wherever you have, please try to have the environment completely accessible, have wide doors, have accessible restrooms, have what all modifications if you can, you make it. This is not going to help only a person with disability, and nothing lost, you are going to make it, and this can helpful be everyone. Don't think your office, your home is not going to have a person with disability. Someday or the other, aging parents are there. Someday they will also become disabled. Some kind of support they might require. So once you make it accessible, any day anyone can use it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Satish. Very well said on accessibility. We have all gone through what difficulties if we don't have accessibility. Very well said. In fact, just a quick point, like in fact, I heard it in one other seminar. As a normal community, right, as a society, this is the message, like kind of, it's more a request, right? Whenever anybody, right, need not be a disabled person. You see a place, a restaurant, a hotel, in an Indian context, right? You see a cinema theater, a temple, a church, or a gurudwara, whatever, mosque, being accessible, please message, please circulate that good word. And please ensure that you appreciate the person for creating an accessible infrastructure, appreciate the person for creating an accessible design. So in Indian context, we need a lot of that message going around from the from our people, our friends at large, okay, who are not in a strict sense not disabled, right? Please ensure, if this is a message, is more a request I'm placing, that if you could really appreciate and promote that cause, promote that need, that would go a long way in enabling and empowering and creating an accessible design throughout India. Okay, so that's more a request as a message. Okay, so quick, Dr. Suresh wanted to have a quick final 1 minute on, like he wanted to share a few things about hemophilia and specific things. Yeah, I'll give it.
Yeah. Thank you, Ara. Because hemophilia being a low volume, high cost disorder and having low level of awareness, I would like to utilize this opportunity very quickly, just 1 minute. So I will tell you what exactly hemophilia is. So hemophilia is a congenital bleeding disorder due to deficiency of certain clotting protein. These people, these children, they have prolonged bleeding on a trivial trauma, and more problematic is the internal bleeding, mainly into the joints and muscles. And they can bleed any part of the body. If they bleed in the brain or other vital structure, so that becomes fatal. So it is genetic and incurable. That's why the only remedy is replacing the missing clotting protein at every instance of bleeding. So that's why since it is low awareness, and being a doctor now, so just share why I became a doctor. So since it is genetic, my maternal uncle also had hemophilia, and when he came to know that I too have this hemophilia, so he used to ask me to become a doctor, prefer to become a doctor. I was not much interested, but those days, school days, but one incident changed the whole scenario. So he had a severe headache, and he took me along with him to the hospital where now I am working. And he is telling that I have hemophilia, I am sensing bleed in my brain, please give me 2-3 units of blood. That is the only thing available those days. But the doctor get irritated, and he tells that whether I am doctor or your doctor, he pushes us out of the OPD, and the whole family has to witness his death inch by inch. After 1 week, he died. So that incident really disturbed me a lot in that tender age, and I determined to take up medical profession and become a doctor. After becoming a doctor, since I too have hemophilia, already having the outcome of untreated bleed, that is disability, so I decided to take MD pathology as my profession. And yeah, because that is the two reason. That is because it is a lab medicine. Even if worst disability occurs, I can sit in a corner and do the work. And another reason, I can involve in the field of blood. So that's how it all started. But the last point, I am proud and happy that the great support of the great human being, Dr. S.P. Balasubramaniam. When he came to know about hemophilia, he readily agreed to support us. In his words, to say, you are all doctors, God has given opportunity to help treat patients, but I am not a medical doctor, but I have doctorate in music and singing. Please give me an opportunity. So this is how our relationship started on World Hemophilia Day, which is observed on April 17th in 99. And he stood with us for even till the last year of his life. He came to, with intuition or something, I don't know. So he came to Davangere, and he was so much because of his 5 mega event, and the philanthropic women who donated a piece of land in Davangere, we took the dare decision of establishing an exclusive hemophilia treatment center. Now we have lab diagnosis, treatment, rehabilitation, including physiotherapy, hydrotherapy under one roof. And so today, I felt so pained that this is the first time I am going back home without meeting SP Balasubramaniam. And really, even then, today my wife, we went around his house because Charan has gone to Germany, so we could not meet the family. So at least we thought, let us go around his house and salute him. And I think this is still so much is there, but there is no time. I would like to conclude and thank Bala, and especially I was fascinated by the work of our Jia. And Jia is the person with whom I am working for rare diseases since around 5 years. And I accepted this thinking that I can meet Jia and the great people here, and Balaji, and really we are happy to work with Aura team. And also I have brought our Hemophilia Society Chennai, and I request Aura to support our local Hemophilia Society also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. You're doing a wonderful job. Yeah, my apologies to the organizers for overshooting the time. Sincere apologies. So we'll conclude. Just a quick few seconds. My thanks to all my school friends, my college friends, and my relatives, and the other community friends who have come here, who have contributed and made this event grace this occasion. My sincere thanks to all of them. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Please stay on stage. Don't leave yet. I would, first of all, thank you so much. As part of the organizers, our apologies for not having more time. Because we have so many speakers here, we have so many wonderful individuals that are waiting to inspire, that have been inspiring, and we're trying to pack everything together for a wonderful audience seated there who are sitting there to get inspired and participate in this. So I'm so sorry that we couldn't give you more time. Adre Kritagnategalu. And thank you so much, Sathish. I was going to come to the thank you so much, Sathish. I'm sorry on Balaji's behalf.
No problem.
But whatever you spoke went straight to the heart. It is true. We need that independence to go anywhere and do anything by one's self. And that is very, very vital. And thank you so much for being a wonderful moderator. We saw whenever you speeded up like the Japanese bullet train, and then you didn't have a choice, but you had to make a point. We saw that. Thank you so much. But there is literally so much to share.
No problem. Hope one day or the other, our society soon changes.
Yes. And that is the one thing that we should dream about and work for.
We keep on working, it will change.
Of course we will. Yes.
That's it.
We shall work, and we shall work together. And to be together with us on stage, I would like to invite Ms. Poonam Natarajan. We know her best as a wonderful human being who's dedicated her life for the upliftment and inspiration of others. The founder of Vidyasagar, who also served as the chairperson of the National Trust, Ministry of Social Welfare, Government of India. It's so good to see you again. And I would also like to call on stage somebody whom I'm sure is related to me one way or the other. All the Charis are relatives. I think so. He is a Senior Director of Information Services Group, Ambassador of Collaboration and Change in Multinational Organizations. He's a passionate, award-winning IT professional who has an extensive portfolio of accomplishments and who's led organizations through global scale transformations. He specifically said, don't talk too much about me, so I hope I'm not embarrassing him. I'd like to invite on stage Thiru Sriram Rangachari. Please join us here. Sriram Rangachari. I request both these lovely persons to present mementos of Able Aura's love and affection and thank yous. Paintings by persons with disabilities from Dore Foundation and our own Able Aura's memento of appreciation. Thank you. Zia, please, without you, we would not have doctor here. Yes, yes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Jyoti, a child with disability, is a wheelchair user who dreams of a life like all the other children around. Jyoti had a lot of dreams and wanted to do a lot of things, but was mostly stuck in the bed with her mother Jaya, taking care of her. The opportunities were not accessible and affordable. One night, Jyoti had a beautiful dream. She saw all the things she always wanted to do. That's playing with her friends in the open, traveling and experiencing life like her friends do. Able Aura brings a new light of hope for Jyoti. And together with Able Aura, she relives her dream as a reality. There are many more Jyotis who have similar wishes. Join. Give a Wish campaign and empower a child.